Hello, this is Dr. Veltri, and I want to walk you through the APA PowerPoint that we've created for your use to help guide your use of APA in your writings while you're here at NCU. A question I usually get asked by nursing students is, why in the world do we need to use APA? What's the big deal? And simply, the answer to that question is that it's the standard in our profession. As nurse scholars around the world write for publication, as students in nursing schools across the country write papers and assignments, it's just simply that this one style of formatting and writing has been adopted by our profession. The second question I usually get is, what in the world is scholarly writing? And scholarly writing is simply the ability to present your ideas in a clear and orderly fashion, and it's a way for students to demonstrate their understanding of the relationships between the ideas and points they're trying to make on their assignments. It's really your chance to clearly and concisely demonstrate what you've learned in courses, to demonstrate your critical thinking or your analytical reasoning. And you can do that by writing according to the principles of scholarly writing. As you're writing your papers, it's really important that you are clear and concise. It really is incumbent upon the student to clearly answer the questions asked on the assignments. It's not the responsibility of the faculty to have to hunt and peck through a paper to try to find the answers to the questions that were asked on the assignment. So clearly and concisely writing out your responses to the question, using paragraphs, introductory words or phrases to let the reader know what I'm going to find in that paragraph, to smoothly lead the reader from one thought to the other throughout your paper, to be succinct and stick to the point in the paragraph, to avoid the use of this, that, or it when you're starting a new paragraph, because a new paragraph is supposed to present a new thought or idea, and if it begins with this, that, or it, then the reader doesn't know what this, that, or it is unless the writer has oriented the reader to the concepts that are going to be included in the paragraph. Often page assignments have page limits, so one reason to be clear and concise is to avoid repeating your thoughts and ideas in multiple paragraphs throughout your paper, to avoid using up your page limit and then not having room to fully answer other questions asked on the assignment. APA requires writing in third-person voice unless otherwise specified by your faculty. There are times when it's totally appropriate to make I statements and to write in first-person voice, but you'll want to clear that with your faculty first and make sure that that was their expectation for your writing. Otherwise, assume that your writing, according to APA, will be in third-person voice. Plagiarism is a very, very serious academic integrity offense, and I know that Dr. Lindsay has done an excellent job of discussing plagiarism with you, and I don't want to repeat that here. But I think the key point is that when you're properly using APA formatting, when you're citing the words, thoughts, and phrases of others consistently and appropriately, you can avoid plagiarism. The goal in your writing is to clearly delineate your ideas, your words, your thoughts from those that you glean from your readings by other authors, the other literature, your books and journal articles. If you paraphrase some ideas from another author, you simply must give that author credit, and to clearly delineate your ideas, your words, thoughts, and ideas from those of other authors. And doing so using APA formatting and the rules therein will help you avoid plagiarism. Here at NCU, in our RN to BSN program, we've developed some APA ground rules that are going to be consistently followed in all of your nursing courses. And as a faculty, we've decided that these are the basic elements of APA that we want incorporated in your writings. These are things that you want to be clear about, that you want to consistently use, and in fact maybe even be an expert at by the time you leave our campus and our school. So at a minimum, you can anticipate when you have an assignment that says follow APA formatting, adhere to APA ground rules, whatever the language is in your syllabi or in your assignment instructions. What this will mean to you is that you need a title page and a reference page. You need properly formatted headings. You need properly formatted citations for any direct quotes or paraphrases that you're using in your paper. You will need to use 12-point Times New Roman font. Your paper will need to be double-spaced. And we will not be requiring abstracts across the board, but there may be times when a faculty will require an abstract, and if that's the case, they will clearly indicate that in your assignment. And remember that a title page and reference page do not count towards the assignment page limit. So those are kind of 2 free pages that you get on your assignments. So these next few slides are going to talk to you about what it means to format a title page according to APA. This slide tells you the main parts of an APA title page, and these things simply need to be included on your title page, and they need to be included in the proper place on the title page. The author byline, that's simply your name or the names of the other authors that you're working with, and your institutional affiliation is the university you're associated with, and in your case, it's going to be Northwest Christian University. This is an example of a properly formatted title page, and one thing I want you to note here is that in her running head, Dr. Schillem has included 4 words from her title. I often see students including their entire title up here in their running head, and that simply is not necessary. And in fact, APA tells you how many words need to be in your running head, 1 to 3 words or an abbreviation of the title of your paper. And the other important point on this slide is never do you use your name in the running head. So your name should not appear, the author name should not appear in the running head. Titles of papers are interesting. They can be very, very creative or very, very generic, but really the purpose of the title of the paper is to give the reader some idea of what they're going to find there. Byline and affiliation I've already talked about. Byline, author name, affiliation, university where a faculty may be working, a student may be studying, the university or organization where the research was carried out, for example. Even though we're not requiring abstracts routinely, abstracts are often required for publication and for scholarly writing. APA, of course, as you can imagine, has rules and guidelines about writing an abstract, and I've outlined some of those here for you to review. Headings, APA headings. APA has developed what is known as levels of heading. And there are 5 different levels of headings that you could use throughout your paper to help you organize your paper. Now, not every paper you write here at the School of Nursing is going to require a heading, but I'm going to venture to guess that the majority of them will. And the reason that I like headings and I incorporate them in my writing is because they help me organize my paper. If I have a heading that says the price of tea in China, then that is a cue to the reader and to the writer about what I'm going to talk about under that heading. And it helps prevent adding extraneous ideas or topics under that heading. So it really is useful when you're writing to take an assignment and to outline your paper. And you can scratch in your headings. You might borrow some words or phrases from the assignment questions, and again incorporate those into your headings as a way to help direct the reader to the ideas from the assignment that you're discussing in your paper. I really encourage you to begin incorporating the use of headings in your papers. You'll be surprised at how it helps organize your paper. It's a double check to make sure you've answered all questions on the assignment. And it really serves to guide your clear and concise writing to organize your paragraphs, your thoughts, and your ideas. Now, one thing that's really important on this slide is that the title of your paper is not considered a heading, so it should not be bolded. This table is actually in your APA manual, and so what I mean by not bolding the title of your paper or not considering it a heading is you will note on this table of headings that the very first level of heading that we use in our paper is centered, it's bold-faced, and it uses upper and lowercase letters in the heading. Often I see students bolding the title of their paper, and please don't do that because it's not a heading and it should not be bolded, but indeed the title of your paper should be centered. It should use upper and lowercase letters, but it should not be bolded. This is an example of the 5 different levels of heading and how you might use those in your paper. Now this is very, very, very detailed. And in most student papers, we're not going to require 5 levels of heading. If you were writing your doctoral dissertation, yes, indeed, you probably would use 5 levels of headings. But in most of your papers, simply being able to master the use of level 1 and level 2 headings is going to be sufficient in most cases. Direct quotes in the body of your paper. Remember, anytime you directly quote the works of another author, you need to put those words that you're directly quoting within quotation marks. You need to copy it exactly as it was written in the original source. And you need to include the page number where you found the words and thoughts that you are quoting. Now, a good rule of thumb is to use direct quotes rarely and judiciously. I often see student papers that's just a string of quotes from articles and journals and books that they've read. That's not very useful to demonstrate your learning or your synthesis or your critical thinking of ideas and concepts. At times I've seen papers that have simply been a string of direct quotes, and they're hard to read, and they don't demonstrate your learning and your ability to discuss the things that you have learned. So a good rule of thumb for direct quotes, they should be rarely used, only when you can't say it any better in your own words, or if you change it, paraphrase it, or move the words around, it truly changes the meaning of the quote. So, direct quotes should be formatted correctly and accurately. And this is an example of a direct quote. Note, she states, the placebo effect disappeared when behaviors were studied in this manner. So the use of these quotation marks here tells me these are the words that were in the source that was read, word for word. This is the author of the journal article. This is the year of publication. And this is the page number that the direct quotes appeared on. And all 3 of these elements need to be included when citing a direct quote. If a direct quote you're using appears on a page that doesn't have a page number on it, then you're going to want to count paragraphs. And often this is the case when you're using online resources. Sometimes it's very difficult to find page numbers. So you can use the paragraph that your direct quote was found in instead of the page number. And this is an example. Again, the same APA format, the author's last name, the year of the publication, and what Jones did, he suggested word for word, the price of tea has increased, and this direct quote is found on paragraph 3 of the source cited here. Paraphrasing is something that's often used in scholarly writing. Paraphrasing ideas and thoughts that you've read in the literature helps support the ideas and information that you're presenting in your paper, or maybe to provide an alternate view, whatever your purpose is. Paraphrasing is different than direct quoting because paraphrasing is summarizing words, thoughts, and phrases that you've read into statements that incorporate the ideas that you've learned. It's really putting the ideas of another into your own words. It's your interpretation of what you think